Okay, everyone. Look, we're all using AI right now, point blank. That part's done. ChatGPT, like my dad's talking to me about ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini. It's all gone mainstream, and everyone's using it for copy help, idea generation, the baseline stuff. As Jess on our team, head of marketing, likes to remind me, I'm only scratching the surface, and there's clearly a gap. Most marketing teams are using AI tools to think, but not actually do, and that's where things are heading next. Our sponsor, Optimizely, built this platform called Opal that lets you use autonomous AI agents to go and do the stuff you shouldn't be doing manually versus just being another chatbot. This is stuff like creating and optimizing on-brand web pages, emails, SEO content, and campaigns by audience segment. It catches brand, legal, and accessibility issues before anything else goes live. It pulls data from your other systems like Google Analytics or your CRM and sales tools to auto-build reports, summaries, and recommendations. And guess what? It's completely no code. So marketers like you and me can build and leverage agents for any use case that we dream up without needing to rely on developers. Heck yeah. So get this. Optimizely has this awesome offer for Exit 5 listeners. They're offering a free personalized 45-minute AI workshop to help you identify the best AI use cases for your marketing team and map out which agents can save you time with a practical plan you can actually go and use right away. So if you need help demystifying all of this AI agent stuff and you want to figure out where you can put AI agents to work inside of your marketing team, go and check this out. Go to optimizely.com/exit5 and check it out. That's optimizely.com/exit5.
You're listening to The Dave Gerhardt Show. Matthew Carnevale.
Hey, what's going on?
How did I do? Did I say it good? Did I say it right?
Yeah, you did good.
How you doing? You know him as Matt. He's the head of community at Exit 5. Matt, good to have you on. Thanks for coming on my show, Matt.
Yeah, of course. It's been a while since we did one just you and me. I think that was like the early days we were doing that. So it's been a minute.
You're supposed to say long-time listener. Well, I guess we've done these in the past where I went on a hot streak and said, we're going to do these every week, and then just cancel them all on you and then just stop it.
Yeah, founder mode.
All right, well, I'm super excited. We're hot, man. I told everybody I'm coming hot. The podcast is a real thing for me this year. I'm going to invest more time in it. And I thought having you on would be a fun way to do that. Who knows? We'll rate today's session and we'll get the feedback and we'll see if you can be a recurring guest on my show. I know there's obviously rumors of, possibly having your own podcast of some kind heading into 2026. If I'm able to check with management on that, we'll see. So, but for today, we're going to have a great conversation. And, okay, you're head of community at Exit 5. You are actually now currently the second longest tenured employee. We count Dan. Dan doesn't count. He's the first person. He's my business partner. I'd say you're the first full-time person at Exit 5. We're coming up on 2 years. I'm just curious. Can you tell people, let's rewind. How did you get the job at Exit 5? Like, how did you even come into our universe?
I guess I'll just rewind a little bit even further. I started my career in sales. I was a BDR at a company selling marketing software to SMB. I was doing like 75 to 100 cold calls a day. Absolutely hated it. Within that company, within about 6 months to a year, transition into marketing. And then that's really where my journey started in B2B marketing. So prior to joining Exit 5, I was an in-house B2B marketer. And I was a member of Exit 5 and I loved the community. I loved, all the stuff that you were putting out, Dave, podcast. So I was always super attuned to what Exit 5 was doing. And then I saw you brought on Dan, and maybe within a month of him being at Exit 5 or less, he had shared a part-time social media and community person. And at the time I had zero experience in either. Obviously I did my own social media to an extent, but not really anything with community. But I really knew at that point in my career, I wanted to work with some elite marketers. And I viewed you that way. I viewed Dan that way. So I was like, let me see if I can wedge my way into this. So what I did was I sent a cold email to Dan. And it's funny because at the time,
Daniel J. Murphy.
Daniel J. Murphy.
Did I call him Dan? Did I call him Dan? Did I call him Daniel? Hello, Daniel. Didn't you say, didn't we find the email? It's hello, Daniel.
I said, hi, Daniel.
Hi, Daniel.
I said, hey is just way too informal.
Hi. You would. Yeah, you would say hi. Hi, Daniel.
Hi, Daniel. So I sent him a cold email. At the time, my testimonial of the community was front smack on the homepage. Part of my pitch was like, look, I understand what you want to hear, what Dave wants to hear about the community. Like, I know how to position this to other marketers. I was like, I'm not really a social or community person, but like, I could do it all. I could learn on the fly, just like pitching a bit of my accomplishments. He was like, sure, let's jump on a call. Before the call, I actually had an idea to create a YouTube video with like my top 5 things I would do to grow the Exit 5 community if I were to get hired. And I edited it, nothing crazy, but just some simple cuts. And I sent that off to Dan prior to the interview. And I think that's when I was creating it, I kind of knew, I was like, I think this is going to get me the job. And then when I sent it, I was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure this is like a sick play. And he loved it. He was looking forward to the call. And on that call, yeah, we got to talk about that. It was great. I got to like reframe it around my ideas. And then that was it. And then you guys hired me and then eventually came on full time within like a month or so. And the rest was history.
Well, you've done an awesome job. You should be super proud of the last 2 years because you made a nice little carousel the other day. I saw on LinkedIn, just kind of recapping the growth. And I think the numbers are great. We talk about them off, I talk about them in my post or whatever. I just wrote one this morning, and we've doubled revenue in the company 3 years in a row, which is amazing. But there's just something, and I think you, having worked at other companies, I think you feel this now too. There's just something that I feel with what we're doing. That's like the math is one thing. It's just so obvious, right? Do you still feel that way 2 years in?
Yeah, absolutely. I've also like worked at other companies where, we had revenue growth and like people were buying our stuff, but there wasn't that feeling of people love us as a brand and trust us a ton. It almost feels like whatever we want to go put out there is going to work because we have that trust. We have a good story to tell. So yeah, that's something that I feel every day. And that's what has made this like the, super rare opportunity for me. I don't know if this happens often.
Yeah, I don't think it does. And it keeps me up at night. It's like, you want it. This is what you want with any company, with any product, like a brand, trust, recognition. I think we have this channel in our Slack called love/proof. I don't know why I named it that. Terrible. Where we share just like the things that people say about Exit 5 online. And we see it all the time that it's not normal. We have this amazing connection to customers and they're getting jobs and getting promoted and making friends and meeting each other. And when you have that, then you can kind of like introduce more things and new products into that stream, and people are more likely to like try them because of that. But it also is the thing that keeps me up at night because it's like, that's the thing that we can't lose that. You need to like obsess over that response. And so it's like every email that goes out, is this good enough? Every podcast is this good enough? And I maybe it's this like sick, it's this toxic trait, but I think you just keep leveling up. And I'm actually this past week, I've been binging a bunch of, have you seen that guy, David Senra, the Founders podcast? Okay. He's become huge and, he does great ramp ads on the podcast, by the way. And he just basically does biographies. He takes and shares his notes on biographies and autobiographies of founders. And he's done everyone from like this morning at the gym, I listened to the biography of the founder of Red Bull, which is amazing. Like talk about a marketing case study and brand. And anyway, any of these successful founders, it's like the obsession over like the product, the quality. And so I think like we kind of stumbled our way into this business by having it be this like Dave's side project thing. But the best decision ever was to like spend money and hire, bring you in, bring other people and invest, because then you're almost like forced to make it great. Right? Like now we're trapped. There's 7 people on the team. We got a bit, expenses for next year. Everything's real. It's been this amazing forcing function to like have to continue leveling up.
Yeah, exactly. I love that. I love those things that just force you to do the thing. And money's always a great one that forces you to want to make something worth it. So
yeah, money seems to work. All right. I got a bunch of things on our list today. I think that the biggest thing I wanted to talk to you about is community. We got our head of community on. You've 2 years in this role. We've spent a lot of time together. And so I think you can also like effectively speak for me on my beliefs about community. What's interesting about Exit 5 is like, I think we got here based on a bunch of efforts of mine at past companies where I think that this is the kind of key ingredient now. Like I've never been an amazing, like hardcore demand gen person. It's always been like audience building and community building. And so I think we've gotten to take a lot of those lessons and now apply them to Exit 5, where this is our business. But this topic, I want to have you on now because this topic's super relevant heading into 2026. Like, I'm a bigger believer than ever that because of all the AI stuff, like real professional networks, communities, connecting people in real ways, real humans connecting is like, I don't know what that trend is called, but I'm super bullish on that. And so if I was like a VC or trying to like raise money for Exit 5, I would like go on that. But maybe I want to use our time together today to really go deep on community, defining community, lessons from Exit 5. And I'm just going to like interview you like you're my guest, and I'll obviously have some things to say too. Okay. First thing is like, how do we define this term community? It's such a hot topic in marketing today. What does community mean to you when you think about that? Is community, oh, Exit 5, the Exit 5 community is hosted on Circle and it's this private paywall thing. Is that a community? How do you define that?
Yeah. So I don't know if I got this definition from you, from someone else, from myself, but I define it as like any group of people that have a shared interest. So, for example, if I were to say the soccer community, I'm referring to anyone who has some kind of interest in soccer.
Wait, this soccer, like capital S soccer, they don't have like a Circle community that you log into. You know,
Oh
that's
yeah,
how
no,
you
they
get
do.
your information.
This Facebook group. If I were to say I'm trying to grow the soccer community, I mean that I'm trying to grow the amount of people who are interested in that thing. Now, if I were to say I've created this thing called the Toronto Soccer Club and I want you to join, that's also a community, but it's more of like a more defined gate around what that community is. That's a specific group. So that's kind of how I differentiate, like, what is community broadly? And then like, what does it mean to have a community? That means to have this more defined space where a specific group of people come to do a specific thing.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that's like, I think of my town, our kids are in school. We've made a lot of friends, neighbors, whatever. We've become more active in our local town. That is also a community, right? The community of this town.
Now, in a B2B setting, like that's where people are going to be like, well, what does that mean in a B2B company? I think it translates, right? It's like if you are a company that sells some kind of solution, building community would mean building the amount of people who have an interest in what you're doing, right? So it's like there's some crossover with like awareness and brand building, but like that's essentially what you're trying to do. It could be people that don't follow you at all in social, but they pay attention to your stuff. It could be people that follow you in social, people that subscribe to newsletter, customers. All those people are you building community.
Yeah, I like that. Let's build on that for a second, because I think, so in the context of community for B2B, right? What never works is just deciding that you should go do something. And as I think like, where does community fit in B2B? We should first go back and just talk about like marketing strategy for B2B for a second. And I think one thing that always works is in B2B, if you think of it as like the context someone has is work, right? This is my job. I work in HR, or I work in accounting, or I work in finance, or I work in marketing. The goal of your marketing for the company, for you as a B2B company, is like one strategy. Not everyone's, you don't have to do this, but this can be one way you can create an advantage, right? Is to be like, let's try to be a great resource for those people. That turns out to be a great marketing strategy. It's like, and this applies in personal life too. Like, I'm super into CrossFit, right? I'm going to join a community that's going to teach me how to be better and share trends and, meet other people. So no different than accounting or HR or finance. And when you think about what we've done with Exit 5, it's like, oh, we're just tapping into like, it started with Dave, like this guy, Dave, like he worked in this industry. He built up a bunch of experience in this industry. He launched a community connecting other people in that industry. Our job is to now like create content and educate and entertain and inform people who work in that industry.
Yeah, exactly. No, I think that's a great play. I think that's what you did at Drift, what we're doing now. So yeah, I love that.
So then it's like, okay, inside of the company, but then it's like, this is where it gets like, then it's like, okay, so should we create a community, which is different, where it's like, if I sold accounting software, right, I would want to lead with education and teaching people and making them feel smarter and building trust, right? To build community around that, you could have events, you could have podcasts, you could just have a funny social media account and you could have community around that. You don't necessarily need to build private community.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. And I think that's where like, I'm not going to say people get tripped up, but they sometimes disassociate creating a community with like, well, what is the goal? And like, if you just work backwards from like, well, why do I want to create this private community space? I think then you realize, well, there's probably 10 other ways to solve this problem or to hit this goal. Like, is building a Slack community really the way I want to go do that? I think it's important to ask yourself that question. I've had many members of Exit 5 on LinkedIn ask me over the years, like, hey, we want to start a community. What should we do? And I'm like, why do you want to start it? And they're like, well, we want to like get our prospects into this community and like they're going to talk to each other and it's going to nurture them and maybe they'll become customers. And I'm like, well, can you just start a newsletter or can you just write more on social? Like, why a community? And I think that's the part where it's like, that's where you really have to like dig deep. And it's like, do we really have the resources to do this, the knowledge in house? It's not just something we do like 5 hours a week. It could be someone's full-time job. So that's where I think you need to like really weigh.
Yeah. And I think it's interesting. It's interesting to think about how the mechanics of this work. And it depends on what the community is. You know, there's like, back in the day, it used to be every company would just kind of have a Slack channel and you would try to create a Slack around a particular topic and get people in there. But then eventually that goes to zero because nobody's really managing it, or it's just kind of like the content intern has to manage it. And then if you do a good job of it at all and everybody wants to like turn it into a sales channel or like, hey, we got 500 active members in our community, but like pipeline is down this month. Like there's got to be people in there we could sell our widget to. And then that's kind of where it starts to break down.
I almost think like it's not going to happen in all cases. Like you said, it depends on the goal of the community. If it's like a support community, maybe it's different than like if it's a community where you're trying to build brand and acquisition. But I almost like the play of what if you made it like a paid community, even you're a B2B company that has software to sell, but what if you made it a paid community and like really treated that thing like a product and separate thing that you're trying to grow? I think that could be a good forcing function to be like, well, we're already generating some revenue from it. So we don't necessarily need to like treat it as a sales engine. We're going to treat it like a product with an individual manager of that product and just try and grow subscribers and really invest in it. I think that could be a cool play too.
We had some examples in here. So like, do these exist or are these examples like you said, Anthropic, Claude Code? Do they have a community?
Yeah. So Claude Code, I don't know if they have a community managed by the company. I know that there's obviously like huge Reddit threads related to it. And I know that those are super active, of course. I think, and same with Lovable. I think in any case where you have this solution that is like on some kind of cutting edge, like people are going to want to talk to each other and swap notes. So I think there was a natural demand.
Yeah, like Holly, I did a thing with Holly from HeyGen. Like she runs a B2B marketing at HeyGen, and they do like AI avatars, AI video stuff, and they have a huge community. And I was like, oh, really? I didn't expect that. And it's like all people who are kind of making AI videos and being in the AI video space, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Which makes sense. They have stuff to like tips to share with one another. So in that case, it absolutely makes sense. Yeah.
I kind of think that for almost everyone doing what we're doing actually is not the right move inside of a company.
Yeah. Okay. Why is that?
The only way I think it can work internally is if someone at the like highest level of the company fully believes in that approach and isn't worried about trying to like measure it to be like, well, we have this many people working on it, or like we can do it, but we can only have one person on it. And it has to be like someone 20 hours a week. It's like, well, you're not spending any time to invest. And so, whereas like, I'll just use my personal experience. If I went to start another company, I fully believe in this approach of having a community and community building. And so like, I would be like, no, we're going to do it. Here's why. I know the benefits are like, it's actually going to become this content engine and like people will spread word of mouth and it actually becomes the number one marketing channel if you treat it like a product and all those reasons. It breaks down if you're like, well, we're doing it for 6 months and it's either working or not. A, you're probably not going to give it long enough time to be successful inside of a company. And then B, what you define as successful is most often going to be like, well, it needs to lead to like sales meetings, a pipeline. It's no different. Like any one of our sponsors, what do they all want the same thing. They all want pipeline.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, exactly.
Does this thing drive meetings? And so it's like, wow, great. Like you have this great community and like everybody loves it, but like pipeline has been flat for 6 months. Do you think that, eventually someone's going to want to like crack into that egg somehow?
Yeah, you're right. Totally felt that before.
Versus like, I don't know. How could you think of it more as if you sold to CFOs and you're like, no, we're just literally going to like run a CFO community because we think it's an amazing thing for our brand and reputation. And what's going to come from that is like amazing word of mouth and connections and goodwill. And, you meet a bunch of people. Well, you're obviously going to also drive sales from that.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. When you look at it as, well, we just want to grow the community around our brand and the amount of people who care about us, like, that's kind of like just marketing too, right? That's community building.
Yes, but it's like that's the stuff that like you need to like, how do we measure that, Matt? How do we know if that's working, Matt? Like we only got 3 meetings from that effort this quarter. It's like I argue with Dan sometimes about like the podcast downloads as an example, right? Like he just wants them to go up, 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 up. And I'm like, that's just not how this works. Unless you're like the most popular consumer level show, or I'm not David Senner, we're doing marketing interviews. I want it to be great. It doesn't work like that. There's many other benefits. I think that's why it breaks inside of a company. I don't think it has to, though. I think it just has to be like treated it at the level we treat it, which is like a real product. Because you've seen it. Otherwise, it just becomes like a place for you to like post updates about your company and then eventually dies.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's another thing where it breaks down to is like people want to create community, but don't have anyone in-house who knows how to do community. So it kind of just becomes another channel for you to communicate updates and webinars with your customers through another platform. So it's kind of like dies off.
I also think it's really hard to do it without expertise in-house, not on managing the community. I'd rather have the subject matter expertise in-house, and then we'll learn how to do the community management versus if we had community management, but like all fluff and not any substance to actually like lead the community with.
Yeah, exactly. I think just speaking from experience, I had no community experience going into this, but it was easy for me to pick up because I'm like, these are my people. These are all B2B marketers. And like, I just have to find ways to serve them through this platform. But I could do that through anything, through content, whatever it is. But it's like, I just happen to learn it through community. So I think anyone could learn. Community is not that complicated when it's like you use an individual, understand the audience, and like can learn some cool plays along the way.
The community management playbook. Let's talk about how it's evolved, what we thought it was 2 years ago and what it is now. And I'll lead you in like what I'm trying to get at, Matt, is how it used to be the thinking from like discussion board to like, it's all about who's in the room and the connection. We've learned so much. I want to kind of riff on that with you.
Yeah. Even speaking from like, I was an Exit 5 member prior to joining Exit 5. I think there was a time when you knew a community was successful when there was just a lot of discussion happening all day long. There was posts, there was comments, and people on the outside would look at that and be, okay, this is an active, buzzing community. And I still think some of that does exist today. I think people want to see activity in a community. But I think in this time period, the amount of noise online has gone up a lot. And people don't want to just log into another platform, another community, and just see more noise. They want to log into something and go to a place where there is discussion and people that they can trust. And I think that's where communities evolve to is, are the people who are creating and managing the community, like creating that environment of trust? Meaning, do I trust the people around me that they're going to know what I'm talking about and they've been there before or are on the same journey? I think that's a really important thing today and where it's evolved to. A lot of people that I'm speaking to now around like, why community? Why do you want to join our community? It's because they don't want like to have to catch up on 100 discussions a week. They just want to know like, there's a solid, smaller group of people in here that I could trust that when I have an issue, I could tap into them. So I think that's one of the big differences I've seen anyways.
Yeah, I like that. It's like, there's certain things that I'm going to go to ChatGPT and ask questions and riff with ChatGPT about, but there's certain things that I want. We have a group text of a friend, like Lee and I are friends, like parent friends. And there's specific things that we would post there that we probably wouldn't just like post on LinkedIn. It would be like, hey, anyone work with so-and-so before, right? Like, or anyone have this teacher did you have this teacher last year? And it's like, in our world, if you're a CMO, are you going to go to Reddit and post like, hey, have you ever worked with this PR agency before?
Yeah.
you never do that.
No.
If you don't have like 6 people on speed dial to be able to text, what do you do? And so I think that's been the biggest eye-opening thing. Now the content stuff does matter. Like we can't have posts and content that gets no engagement. Like you have to have people in there that are active, but I think you're totally right that it's the quality thing. Like I want to ask I'm posting this in this room for a specific reason.
Yeah. And as I think you move up the ladder in your career a bit, the trust becomes even more important. I think if you're a junior marketer like I was when I first joined Exit 5, I'm like, if anyone could give me any insight on my content strategy, I'm so happy to hear it. Yeah.
Please, God. Please.
But like you're the CMO of a $200 million company, you have a 55-person team, like your purview is really different. You don't really need the basics to 101. You need, what are my most elite peers doing? Like, how are they thinking about this? Like, that's really important of a knowledge gap for me to fill.
I want to paint the picture more of like the role of the value of community and the role of like a community manager here for a company. Because theoretically, it's like if you got people, you just let them talk to each other. Like, what do we have to do? But it turns out like there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes to run an effective community. Let's put some of that on tape because, we just were saying like how a lot of times they'll just hire the lowest common denominator and just give it to someone. I'll give it to the content person and they'll just kind of do it. Maybe just let's riff on like, what are all the things that go on across all of our communities in a month?
Yeah. So in every community setting, you need to have at least like one thing. It could be like a live event. It could be, we do like asynchronous events, which I could talk about in a sec, but some kind of event every month where it's like, if I'm an individual and part of that community, if I do nothing but go to that once a month or go to it every couple of months, I could get value from that membership, right? Because it's like
at least one recurring thing, right?
Yeah, at least one to start anyways. I think that's good. I think you need like just like high level, some way to connect members with one another for those who want to do it. So if I'm a member of the community, let's say I'm part of some kind of community, I want to speak to other people like me in that community every now and then. So if you as a community company can connect me with other heads of communities, for example, like that would be a valuable thing as a member of a community. So I think that's super important, is some way of forcing connection. Because I think we talked about this earlier about where...
What would an example of that be? How do you force connection?
Yeah, so there's a couple things. One is having some kind of matchmaking program, something we invested in maybe like 2 years ago now. But it's just very simply like I opt into it, and every single month, based on my challenges, I can meet with another marketer like me. That tool does a lot of the heavy lifting for you of matching people with one another. That's been a really, really great play. Another way to force connection is, I think inevitably when you put people, let's say you put 100 people into a community, there are people who are going to ask questions because there are some people who just kind of get that. But whether people actually answer with anything insightful is a whole other thing. And I think what's worked really well for us is just like upon onboarding and intake of new members, collecting some basic information about them and their experience. And then when a relevant question comes up, force tagging that person in the conversation has been like a game changer for engagement for us. Because I think also people want to be nudged. Like not everyone knows how to use community, no matter how much you tell them. So it's on you as a management of the community to like pull people into a conversation and say, no, you need to speak to Tom. Like he really gets Google ads. Tom may not look at the community every day, but if you can pull him in once a month, then I think it's a great play.
Yeah, this is good. You're getting at some of like the secret sauce, which is like how much we've learned that we need to invest in like onboarding and understanding who, if this is a people platform and what we're betting on is like real human connection, then the differentiator is like, how well do you know these people? And I remember standing next to you, we were checking in people for our event in New York. And I'm looking at, I don't know everybody like you do. I know some people, but I don't know everybody. I'm looking at my phone trying to scan people and you're like, oh, Artie, that's Tom, that's Mary, that's Meredith. I'm like, how do you know this people here? Dude, it's my job. And that has to be the job, right? And so it's like, the more you learn about someone, so to the point about like, if you're running a community inside of your company, can you just automate this out or send this out to the intern? Like, not if you're just going to just do some and I've been in communities where this is the, hey, what's everyone, like, tell me a challenge you have right now. And it's like, well, why am I in here? Right? Where like, for me personally, as a founder, I'm in a community, I'm in Hampton, and Hampton's great for me to be able to be like, I have a question because they have vetted people to a certain level. I know that at least if I post in there, I'm going to do this. Perfect example, deciding on a holiday gift for the team this year. I'm a terrible shopper. I don't know what other people are interested in. I posted in Hampton and it became this really popular post because it was a great time. It was like a bunch of founders being like, yo, what are you getting for your team this year? And it was amazing. People had all different levels of answers. And one guy goes, cash. You know what always works? Cash. 4 figures of green always works. That's how I interpreted it anyway. And it was like, all right, done. That's what I'm doing. Cash. And so it's like things like that. But that's because they've curated the room, right? Or I think it's just easy to be like, oh yeah, we do matchmaking. Well, what does that really mean? Well, you need to know people. You need to know what they're interested in. You need to know what works and what doesn't work. There's a lot in there. And so it's like that is the product. You can't just have the intern or someone just post, right? Like a conversation starter. There's a lot of community OS that has to happen behind the scenes for these things to be effective.
Yeah. And I think that plays into like another big lesson of curating the room. When your community is just like open reign to everybody, I think it's probably going to let in some people that maybe don't mix as well.
The riffraff. Get them out.
Yeah.
Kick them out.
Exactly. Because people have different incentives for community. And ideally, if you're running a community, you want to like curate a group of people that have the same incentive. In our case, it's like we always talk about like the business owner versus the in-house B2B marketer, and their incentives are a little bit different. I think they've coexisted well, but I think there's always a case to be made of you kind of have to pick who your people are for that community and like just bet on that.
Yeah, I mean, I think like if you like are using Hampton as an example, right? The reason that it works is because it's exclusively founders, and so therefore you can understand and relate to the problems of a founder. We found that there are different needs to someone. I think it's different depending on the community. There's different needs to someone who's maybe works in an agency or works in house, but there's enough common ground with the thread of like working in B2B marketing and having knowledge. And a lot of agency folks have like deep expertise. The problem is like 99.9% of the agency people is great. You get one or two people that mass DM your whole community, like pitching your services. And that's why people are like, I heard you guys don't like agencies. We know it's not that. It's just like most often, if there is a bad actor of some kind, it's usually not like an in-house VP of marketing at some, $100 million revenue company. It's some solo contractor, freelancer, solopreneur, which, that's where it comes from.
Yeah. And that stuff always slips through the cracks, and it's all good. It's unfortunate though in some ways, because like it's like that phrase, I don't know who said it, but like trust is gained in drops, lost in buckets. So it's like sometimes those things happen, and then like at the end of the year, people are like, community is great, but like way too many agencies are posting. And it's like, I know for a fact there was like maybe one or two posts for the whole year, but it's like that's enough for them to like have that sour taste.
Yeah, I don't know. I am also such a believer of like, I think we can continue to shape this, and like quality matters, attendees matter, but like we can drive. I think a lot of it, we use this analogy a lot. A lot of it is like having a gym membership, and like I'll see someone churn and like, I'm just not using it. It's not a reflection that like the equipment doesn't work if you use it. We need to give more training and coaching and give people more compelling reasons. I do think that focus is great in any community. The more you can be, the sharper you can be focused. If I could niche down a community to like late 30s dads in Vermont working on internet businesses, that community would be amazing for me, right? The churn would be low and like the engagement would be really high. It's just like finding the right balance. So I think we've gone wide with B2B marketing, and I think we're like honing in on certain areas, right? And I think we're going to continuing to focus. The hard part is like, it makes some people unhappy and you have to say no to some people in order to grow. But like, I don't know, go back and study any business of all time ever. And they always almost shift their market as they grow, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like the word community it's inclusive by nature. So I think some people think that, if you're doing a community, like I should be in. Right?
That's an interesting insight. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. AI generated slop. I think it's the best thing to ever happen in marketing, actually, because it raises the bar, right? AI slop is going to kill deals, kill brand, and kill trust. Today, marketers, like, we're also customers too, right? And so we have to actually put ourselves in the position of our customers and think about all the AI slop they're seeing. And it's on us to create things that actually matter, things that have meaning and impact, things that are educational, entertaining, funny, useful, specific, and relevant. And that's everything that our sponsor AirOps stands for. They're helping reshape how people discover and connect with brands, because AI slop is not going to win. AirOps is built for marketers who want to create content that sounds like their best subject matter expert, not another chatbot. This is content grounded in real sources, real insights, and real information gain. Their content engineering platform helps you surface your highest value opportunities in AI search, then shows you how to actually take action on them, not just see dashboards, not just get another recommendation or SEO report, but actually go out and execute. And this is the topic that everyone is being asked to get smarter about right now, AI search and SEO. If you care about this topic, then you want to go and check out AirOps. They're built for you. It's airops.com/exit5. You can learn more about AirOps and what they're doing in the AI and SEO space. That's airops.com/exit5.
Community is actually very much, it's like anything. We're building this for a specific person. And like, if you don't fit that, then this isn't going to be for you. Like, this isn't the right product for you.
That's right. We only have gluten in our pizzas. Like, I thought this was great. You shared this the other day. We'll give him a shout out to Jay Clausen. For me, my community is Hampton. Yours is Jay, Creator. What's it called? Creator Science, Creator Lab.
Yeah.
The Lab.
The Lab. Yeah, the Lab. Yep.
The lab. And you shared this, and this is, which I thought was great. I don't share too much inside info, as you know, but this is one that I like. You found the way that Jay frames gray areas with community and has them written up, I think is really good, because there's been a lot of things that have come up over the years with us where it's like, what are the lines of self-promotion or promoting your, people say, I'll get messages all the time. Like, hey, Dave, I wasn't going to post this, but like, I'm worried about it being self-promotional. Like, if you have to message me, the founder, if you have to message me to like ask, that probably it's going to be like that. But then it's always this weird position, because then then I'll be like, I don't really have the perfect answer back to them. Like, I'm reading this. It's like the saying about like porn, like, it when you see it, is like, I can tell you this post feels like garbage to me, feels like spam. It either is something that was copied from someone's LinkedIn and just changed. We've had that before. Or it was like, this is like a straight up promo, but disguised. Like, but come on, I'm being nice. I'm helping people for free. Like, and so I just think even just labeling it as like, look, this is kind of like, it's a people business. And in a people business, there's going to be a lot of things that are not black and white, they're gray. And so I think just acknowledging that we have gray areas. And so in his thing, he wrote, sometimes solicitation or self-promotion is a little bit of a gray area. In general, we're pretty strict about removing posts that are simply sharing links to content that you've published. The reason is simple. In a community of hundreds of content creators, if we allowed sharing of any link, the whole feed would be flooded with each other's content. The result would be everyone sharing at each other and talking to each other. And Jay's obviously great, big fan of his stuff, but the way that they frame that is perfect. That's what you want, right? You want people talking to each other, not at each other. And it's like, if I read your post, it sounds like you're talking at me.
Exactly. That was such a good framing. And this is something that like I used to say in the beginning was like, what if everyone did it? It's like, well, what if everyone just shared their thought leadership style posts? Like, this community would go to shit. So it would just be like a mini LinkedIn.
That's amazing. I have a book upstairs, and one of the books that we read to our kids, it's called What If Everyone Did That? And it's like some kids eating lunch at the party, he just throws his trash on the ground and leaves. And it's like, what would everyone? Well, what if everyone did that? God.
Yeah. Great line.
But I think one thing we've learned also is just like, and I think community managers, man, don't get enough shout out and don't get enough like recognition for that's why these things succeed in companies. Because I do think there's just quite literally some level of like hours that you need to put in. I think just us like replying to every post, reading every comment, something we've been like nuts about over the last year. Is like anyone that I see that doesn't have a real headshot profile picture, like, I'm commenting on it and I'm sending it to you. And it's like, those are just the details that you need to be there all the time. And so are you willing to invest in a community? And now this thing is kind of always on 24/7. Are you going to like invest? Are you ready to be there at that level?
Yeah, exactly. Because like the people on the other end, the members, they're not there all the time. They're just popping in every now and then. So when they're popping in, they need to have a good experience. If they don't have a good experience, they're never coming back. So that's why you as a community manager, it's like, yeah, you need to be there and you need to like make sure it's always good for everyone coming in and when they come in.
All right. So this was in our list of most underrated community plays. We talked about a bunch of tagging and bringing in relevant people, relevant members. In-person events, we haven't really hit on it, but I think we learned an amazing lesson over the last year, really, which is in-person cements what happens online. And so if you have people who initially connected, like our events feel like incredibly warm from the get-go. And the reason is because at least 50% of the people already have had some form of interaction online. And so I'm like, oh, that's Matt. I recognize him. I'm going to go say what's up. That creates an incredible connection. So we're going to continue to do more of that. Like, and that's made our unexpected benefit to me is like the in-person things have made online better in a way that I couldn't have anticipated.
Yeah, exactly. It warms people up. No, it's been great.
Well, just like now, take somebody like Lindsay O'Brien, or as an example, like if I see a comment from her, I feel like I know her now, and so I can like read the comment, or like Charlie Riley messaging me all the time. Right? You know people now, and so I'm like, oh, I understand the context of that, of which they said that. Market, what's upcoming. This is a great lesson. I just think for any marketing, this is why, like as a marketer, having access to the roadmap and being involved in the product roadmap and development of your company matters, because so often in marketing, like it might not be here yet, but you can talk about where it's going and what's coming next. And so I think us having stuff lined up about what's happening in the community this month is something that drives engagement and membership. You talked about pure connection. Most overrated, what doesn't move the needle, but people think virtual events. Matt.
Yeah, I think virtual events can be overrated in community. We still do them. I'm not saying we don't do them, but I think whenever I've spoken to people who are like starting a community, like the first place their brain goes to is like, oh, like we're going to do these like virtual events every month, like almost like a webinar where it's like a couple people from our company are going to like talk at our members. And I just don't think that is why people join community. I think maybe they had some kind of hook in, but I don't think they joined to get talked at. I think there's plenty of mediums out there where you can get talked at from smart people. They join to meet others like them. So if your whole play is like a virtual event every month where like the team is talking at the members, I just think that's not going to be super interesting to anyone in there. So you could have them, but like maybe instead of we're going to talk at you that month, it's like every month one member is going to spotlight one interesting thing they're doing. And that's not going to be relevant to everyone in the community, but it's like, great, like we're going to get 10, 15 people there. This person's going to talk about how they do X, Y, and Z. It's going to be more of an open discussion where you can come off mute and actually talk. I think that's more how I would run these virtual events versus just like the typical way.
Content. Good for getting people in the door, but not as much for making them stay. That's where you need to learn and lean into peer connection. Yeah, I think the meta lesson that we've learned is we need to have marketing, education, and content because that's what's going to get someone to come in. But the sticky feature is when you actually make a friend, meet someone. We have countless stories of those people. That's the thing that we want to foster more. If it was just like positioned as exit5.com, hang out with other marketing people. Like I don't think that hits in the same way. And so it needs to be like learn about AI, but then I also met someone at this event who was really interesting.
Yeah. And that's why it's like super important to market what's upcoming, your content, your events. That's what's going to get people to say like, oh, they have these like roundtables where they talk about custom GPTs. Like that's pretty cool. Like maybe I'll join for a month and go to the first one. And then when they join, that's when they like, oh no, like I met a couple of cool people there. Or like, oh, they also have this like matchmaking program where I can meet other demand gen marketers. Like, oh, like, yeah, maybe this is worth keeping every single month. So I think you could use that to hook people in, but then it's the other stuff that gets them to stay.
I said I can grant you 3 wishes right now for community at Exit 5. Each one of your things I think is a secret sauce I don't want to expose publicly.
That's fine.
But those are good. I agree. Let's go do those things. I have some listener questions I want to go through with you. That'll be fun. But let's wrap up this first. I like this one. I like this question that I wrote. Coming up on 2 years here, second longest tenure employee. Just overall reflecting back on the last 2 years of your career, work, community, marketing, what you learned. You wrote some good stuff here. I wonder if you can call it to memory and try to talk to it. You said this, it really does matter where you work. Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. That's a good one. Yeah. So that's been a big lesson for me. It's just like, you learn a lot more working under really great leadership when you have really good product market fit.
Facts. You just clip that first part. Clip that.
So go find that.
Go find it.
Go wedge your way into that.
It really does matter where you work. Just the importance of that. Like, sorry, I took us offline with a joke, but I do think that made me think. Like sometimes when I read people's comments on my either posts on LinkedIn or comments at Exit 5, it's almost always the common denominator of like marketing or enjoyment at work is almost always directly correlated back to this part, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. It's like the leadership is janky, the products doesn't work that well. Like it's always those things that break it. So that's why it's like, you can't always fix all the problems.
Or just like, I don't know, you've told me about some of your past like work experience, like and I think maybe one of the things here that I've seen for you is like, we almost have to like train these things out of you because here it's like, I don't know, man, you figure it out. You tell me. Wait, really? Like you got, it's a small company. It's early. It's like you have the playbook where like so many times in marketing, and I was talking about this with Jess yesterday. If you have people who don't get it or don't get business or you don't see things eye to eye, or maybe they do get it, but it's just not your way. It's impossible to work when like you're second guessing yourself like constantly, or you're having to be asked to justify something that you did like every time you breathe.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's a big one. Just having that freedom to like go and move fast and ship and break things. Like most people are like, they feel that if they go and do that, like someone's going to yell at them for something. So they don't really like just go execute at a fast level. So yeah, exactly. Teaching those things out of me is totally part of my experience. Yeah.
That's why we're always like, B2B marketing doesn't have to be boring. But really someone inside of the company is like, I get that, Dave, but like literally I can't do shit because every time we like pitch a new idea to the team or we want to do something like, no, can't do that. Don't have the budget. Don't have the time. I'm like, okay, yeah, my bad. Like I get that. That's exhausting.
Yeah. It's like this really, I don't know what to tell you in that case. Like it does suck. Yeah.
You should go find a different job.
just work for a unicorn. Like, are you stupid?
I'm sorry. When I say that, you must be nice to be able to say that. I'm like, well, if there's a lot of companies hiring marketers, you'll be good.
It's not always the big names. There's a lot of small companies that have this too.
But it sucks. I mean, I've talked to someone, VP of marketing, former friend of mine. I reached out recently to send them a message. Actually, it was for like our marketing leadership event that we're doing. Jeff sending invites. Hadn't heard from this person in a while. And they were like, I'm actually I'm taking a step back from marketing. Like I got laid off from my last 3 companies. And she's like a legitimate VP marketing. Could just 3 companies bad in a row. It's like, God, it sucks.
Yeah, that's rough. It's hard to see that from the outside.
Yeah, it is. Sometimes, though, you're like, that guy, he was wearing those weird open toe sandals in the office. Like, that should have been a sign.
Yeah.
Did not need to see his toes in the interview.
His toes. I don't see anyone that I works with toes.
No, please. Please not. Another one is that you put in your notes here is like community. So it matters where you work. Okay, that's great. Made me feel good. Community is so much more than a Facebook or Slack group.
Yeah, kind of what we talked about earlier is if community building is part of the strategy, you're trying to grow the amount of people that have an interest, shared interest in what you do, what you're solving. It's not necessarily we're creating a Facebook or Slack group or whatever. So I just think like that's something that before this, I didn't have that point of view. But now I understand community building at a broader level. And I think it's actually like just not even talked about enough in that context.
And then you talked about a little bit about something that's changed is how you work. You said, I need to start the day early and hit the gym right away. Sleeping in doesn't do much for me. It makes me feel too relaxed and lazy. Working from home is great, but the downside is it's too easy to be in rest mode. I need to shock myself early in the day and it'll carry through.
Yeah, that's something that in past companies, and I think part of it has stemmed from like, I'm now in an environment where I want to produce my best work and need to. I think this company needs people who are operating at their best. And what I've learned for me is like, if I sleep in and start the day on a very relaxed note, I have a harder time really getting into it. For other people, it may not be the case. So I don't think this necessarily is the same for everyone. But for me, it's like what works best for me is getting up super early, doing something that is kind of, I don't always feel like doing right away. And then it's like, okay, cool. I've kind of been like shocked to start the day. And now like, I'm just more like higher frequency, as some would say, throughout the day.
A high frequency, baby. I'm going to do a workshop. Chris messaged me. He's like, you need to stop talking shit and come get yourself encoded. And I'm going to go and learn all about it. But I think it's great. I believe in all that, by the way. Like totally so much of that is true. The people you surround yourself with, what you believe. Just last night, Leah sent me a picture from a post-it note I had in my closet, and it was goals that I had for this year, and wrote the number down on a post-it and put it in the closet. And she said, "Hey, you did that." And I said, "Yeah, we did do that." And the same exact thing happened the year before, and the same exact thing happened the year before. Like I believe that you speak things into existence, especially if you write them down. On the routine thing, I wanted to call that out because so many people that listen to this podcast are marketers and they work from home, and having worked through COVID, like from 2020 to 2022, it did feel kind of like I kind of did the same thing every day. I just would kind of like roll out of bed and open up my laptop. I've always been a morning workout guy, but I just mean like in the last couple of years, something that I've changed is like getting out of my house, going over. I have a space here, but I would try to rent a space if I could or go somewhere, putting on real clothes, being a real person, treating it like I am going into the office has helped me separate those two things and like also shift into work mode. But it's also been an incredible advantage being able to work from home because there are many good things have come from like, I'm just in my house and it's 9:00 and I'm like, oh, got an idea. And I run out to the office. And so like, there's trade-offs to both that. Or you get if you get an out of breath, like an audio note from me or something.
Exactly. Yeah. If you can bounce it, I think it's the best of both worlds for sure.
All right, let's take these questions from listeners. This one's from Alan. I want you to answer this, Matt. I want to hear your opinion on how you would answer this. Alan says, how do you decide when to share founder struggles publicly versus keeping them private? This is from like a content strategy standpoint.
I'm obviously not a founder, but I think individuals probably think that what they're holding close, people are going to be like highly attuned to and like maybe want to steal in some ways or like view them as weak. I don't think others view it that way, but at the same time, I still do think like you want to keep some I think perception matters. And I think you want to keep some perception of like, hey, like we kind of have our shit together here. Yeah, we go through struggles like everyone else, but like the ship's not sinking or anything. I do think that is important. If I were to spend like $5,000 a year in a product and the founders constantly talking about their struggles and things that are like not going right, a part of me would be thinking like, is this a sinking ship? Like I'm kind of sort of,
Absolutely true.
so to an extent, I think less struggle is more like good stuff.
Hey, we had a really shitty quarter. My marriage is falling apart. We missed our sales projections by 50%, and I gained 12 pounds. But I feel like I only post my wins on LinkedIn, so I just wanted to come here and keep it real with you. Hashtag not afraid.
Yeah, it's like, okay, a little bit too much information. Like this is, so that's my 2 cents.
Look, I think ultimately I see everything as marketing. And so I think the game is, I think you want to play a perception game. And so I think part of it is like, people will say like, well, you need to be more vulnerable, share more losses. I think it depends on what you're writing. And so I think the way to do that is acknowledge that like there are challenges. There are, like, I wrote a post today talking about like, man, there was some shit that came up this year that was difficult. I didn't explain what it was, but just acknowledging that, like, I think where it doesn't work is when you just come off as someone who everything is awesome all the time. Like, this is a win. This is a win. This is what I think you just don't want to be that either.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's the way to like relate to people on a personal level, is acknowledging that it's not always easy all the time, but how deep you get in those details is probably where you have to use some discernment.
Okay, this question's from Alexandra. Dave, thought leadership is just an excuse for being loud online. And I'm curious, sorry, that was leading. Let me reread that again. I'm reading it as the way that people, this must be what people do to me. They read my things and how they think that I would say it. Let me not project onto this one. Dave, thought leadership is just an excuse for being loud online. And I'm curious what you'd say about expanding Exit 5 beyond marketing. Seems like a lot of folks are already doing that with their own brand. First, let's answer the first one. Matt, reaction to thought leadership is just an excuse for being loud online.
I don't think people want to be,
sounds like a hater to me. That's not the energy that I want. I don't care. Thought leadership is an excuse for being loud online. Look, I think that if you have something that you are proud of, that you have worked on, that you've created and you want to sell and get to others, like I think there's no shame in being loud about your product online.
Yeah. And like thought leadership has maybe gotten a bad name in some ways. Like if you're posting good stuff online, like that's not an excuse for being loud. It's you're sharing your work and you're sharing good stuff and helping other people get smarter and learn. Like that's an amazing thing. That's changed my life, that content online from other people. So
yeah, perfect example. Jess was telling me yesterday about some founder of this SEO agency, like put all this great data out about AI and SEO, and like Kip and Kieran were citing it. And then she was mentioning it on that podcast. And it's like that, literally that's thought leadership. They just did a good job of it. Right. And so I think like, boasting about like, me sitting on the back of my truck shirtless with a bag of money, talking about like how, I made $6 million this year or whatever, like that's being loud online. I don't think that is advantageous. But that's not what we're talking about here. I put this question in our mix because I want to clear that up. And it's an objection I hear from founders a lot. It's like why they don't want to like participate in marketing or like do any of the founder brand stuff is for that reason, which I think it's a false belief.
Yeah, agreed.
This is from Nidhi. What are 2 or 3 signals that tell you the podcast is driving real pipeline for Exit 5, not just downloads? Always tuning for this at Connectly. I mean, Matt, you've hosted a couple podcast episodes. You've been in the mix. You feel what our business is. You see what the Slack messages are. I think the way that we tell is like quite literally people will tell us that they listen to the podcast. Like I wish there was, we just know, like I do look at downloads. We do look at audience. We want to make sure people are listening. But I think if you've worked at our company for any longer than, 3 months, you will quickly realize how many people tell us that they signed up because they listened to the podcast at some point. Now, it's not like I listened to the podcast and then I bought your thing immediately, right? But I've been listening to the podcast for a long time or, started listening to podcasts, whatever. People will tell you. That's number one. What else would you add to that if you wanted to help someone understand the impact of a podcast?
Yeah, I think like, for us, we have like tons of new customers, but we're a more high volume business. So we're going to get data quicker on like why people are signing up. I think in a business that maybe doesn't get as many new customers or as much pipeline, you're going to have less swings and at bats on learning why people join. But I think there's also so much to a podcast that isn't just like, yeah, some people will tell you they signed up because of the podcast, but like there's so much to it in a B2B company. You can meet and interview potential customers, and that could be a way to like build some pipeline and move people through. I think it's like those insights feed your marketing strategy. They could feed your product strategy if done correctly. So it's like, I don't know, if you're just going to view podcasts as like another ad for you guys, yeah, maybe it's not going to always directly turn into a customer. But if you're viewing it as like an engine for a lot of things across the business, it's like, yeah, that should be having an impact on pipeline and business growth and product strategy. Then yeah, absolutely. Like, so part of that is like the selling of leadership as to why you're doing it in the first place.
Yeah, I love that. The podcast being the engine for your content machine, not just doing it. It could also be like you start one just to like give some shine to your top customers. And that's the goal of it, right? You can answer that. Let's see. This one's from Alex. How do you plan and execute your podcast when you first started? How does your podcast prep, recording, and post editing look now? So started my first podcast was 2014. That was 11 years, almost 12 years ago. Holy shit. And back then I was in person and it was in Boston. I would go around and I would do interviews with founders in Boston. And when I first started out, maybe this is why my podcast was good then, I would just prep. I would over prep. And so if I was doing an interview with Matt, I would listen to a bunch of interviews with Matt. I'd read stuff online. I'd find as much as I could about Matt. I'd come up with my own questions and I have this long list of prep. But then I noticed really quickly once you get into a conversation, because a good podcast is an actual conversation with someone, not just a back and forth interview, I would end up throwing away all my notes because once you get into the flow with someone, you're not so worried about like next question. And I would have that to then like help me come back to. And so if you're just starting out, I would over prepare. And then obviously it depends on the type of thing. We were talking about David Senra's founder podcast before. That podcast is him doing hours of prep for someone for a guest interview, or he's going through a book that he read. And so that's going to be different than this. Over prep, really work backwards. Like, what do you want to get out of this episode? I think now, because I've been doing it for, over 10 years or whatever, like I do just let it flow a little bit more. And I have a sense of like what topic I want to have, but I do know that the best conversations often are about the banter, not the like, did he ask Matt the hard hitting question? And that's why people want to listen. And so we do more of that. But now we have a team, right? And so now like up to Active 5 today, now Aaron's writing all of our podcast notes. We work with Hatch, Hatch.fm behind the scenes. They do all the post-production editing. So we have like a team and a company that helps doing that. But you can be so successful with quite literally like an idea and a microphone. And I started with the engineer at our company at the time. Like he was a DJ and he gave me some like $80 USB mic. And then I just did all the editing myself in GarageBand on my laptop. And that was like, go back. You find literally every creator. We were talking about Jay Klaus before. Like he's blown up on YouTube. If you go look at his YouTube videos and you sort them, you go about oldest to newest, you look at his old videos, like they have no views. Everyone has started that way. And so I think there's so much learning along the way. So if you're going to just do a podcast, I would commit to doing it, not care so much about the setup and the technical stuff and the equipment, commit to doing it and know that you will gain reps. I mean, Matt, you've been doing more video podcast stuff and it's been 2 years. Just now you're like invested in the lights, invested in the plants, got a microphone. Like there's no need to do that before you have anything. Now's the time to do that.
Yeah. Agreed.
Okay, Matt, I'll let you wrap. We can wrap. You can pick any final question to ask. I'll let you ask. I mean, you could just like use your brain and ask me one, a fun question. One of my favorite Drake album of all time, most overrated rapper.
No, I think I got it. What's a Gerhardt Christmas look like? You said you're having some family over tonight. So what does that look like?
On paper, a Gerhardt Christmas would be no Christmas, would be Jews, a bunch of Jewish people eating Chinese food somewhere. But now that we have commingled families, I'm married. My wife's family celebrates Christmas. And by the way, we just been rolling for the last 8 days was Hanukkah. We're rolling into Christmas. We're hosting at our beautiful house in the woods here. We're hosting this year. My kids, there's no school. Everybody's already going bananas. What's happening over there? Like when I hang up with you on this, I'm putting my laptop away. I'm going, you know what I hate? I hate that image of people slams the laptop shut till Monday. I hate that. I hate that image. Don't ever post that image. I hate that. Everybody's coming here. We got people coming here. The wood stove is burning. We're having tacos tonight. Just a little easy meal that everyone can. We want a low maintenance meal. Tomorrow's so much cleanup, and then everybody will be here tomorrow. we'll do we've adopted a tradition from my wife's side of the family. Don't tell anybody, please don't tell anybody this. Don't cancel me. But, we partake in the holiday tradition of burning our trash on Christmas, which is one of the most American, maybe even Canadian, joyful experiences ever. Just seeing a whole pile of just crap that's probably so terrible for you to be inhaling, just being eviscerated, is just very, very, very heartwarming. Yeah. And we'll be here. We're just, tomorrow's a day where like, what's so fun about my kids now is like, I get to be a kid again tomorrow. It's the best. I play with their toys, open their presents all day. What do y'all do?
Beautiful. Yeah, no. So tonight going to my parents, and in Italian culture on Christmas Eve, you have fish.
Oh, tonight's the fishes, right? Is this night the 7 fishes?
7 fishes. Exactly.
Wow. So, what's your strategy for like eating today? Is it a normal eating day, or you're trying to like?
So you can't eat meat today. You're not supposed to eat meat. So I'm going to do, so I'm going to do, I don't know, something, maybe eggs for lunch, something like that. And then the strategy is go damn hungry, but you don't, when you're like too hungry and then you eat that one thing and you're
dude, I do that on Thanksgiving, and I can never, like, I just don't have the Thanksgiving stamina because I don't eat. And then I like come out of the gate so hot and I'm like, ugh.
Yeah, exactly. I think mixing a glass of wine, that always makes you a little bit more hungry.
Oh,
this is a kids podcast. Mixing a glass of wine, you're good to go.
All right. And like, what about gifts? Do you have like do you have gifts for your family, for your fiance? What's the plan?
Yeah. So typically every year it's like everyone gets each other a gift. But this year we decided to do a white elephant with our families, which is super cool because it's like you just have to get one gift for one person. Because like, I don't know about you, but I found like I'm just buying things for the sake of buying things now. It's like I've been with my fiance for 11 years. And it's like, I got to buy gifts for her family and her 11 times. Like it's over time, you're just buying people things that they don't need, right? So it's like one gift to one person. There's an element of surprise in it. I'm really excited to do that for the first year this year.
That's great. I'm happy for you. It's also way more environmentally friendly. You've dramatically reduced the carbon footprint with that. I'm very happy. No, we do that. Leah, we've done that for a while now, which is great. I didn't know how to name White Elephant. That sounds like a song. We just get matched with someone. I always get Leah's brother. I'm a great gift giver. I'm not a good gift receiver.
Yeah, receiving is tough.
Who do you have to give the gift to? An uncle? Like a random uncle?
I can't say out loud.
Okay. All right. That means I'm getting something nice, guys. It's really exciting. You can't say it. Yeah. All right. Well, Matt, thank you. Thanks for hanging out. Out on today's episode of Dave's Marketing Radio Talk Show Life. It's the Dave Gerhardt podcast. How will we know if it's working, Matt? People will tell us. Go to LinkedIn, follow Matt. All right. This is the call to action for today. Matt, I'm going to know. Go find Matt. He'll be linked in the show notes here. Matt has timestamp this. The time of this recording, Matt has 13,722 followers. I'm like, damn, that's pretty good. You got screwed yesterday, by the way. 65 like 11 comments on that carousel, man. Like, come on, let's come back and give my boy some love. 13,722 followers. Let's blow him up. I need more followers for Matt. What happens? What happens if Matt gets too famous? I don't know. That would be great. I would love that to happen. So let's blow Matt's up. Let's blow Matt's followers up. I want to check by January 1st. He's going to have 15,000 followers. I don't think we have that kind of magic, but let's see. Otherwise, thank you for listening to the show. We've got a lot more great stuff coming in January. Go check out Matt on LinkedIn, all the great stuff on exit5.com, and we'll see you later.
Hey, thanks for listening to this podcast. If you like this episode, you know what? I'm not even going to ask you to subscribe and leave a review because I don't really care about that. I have something better for you. So we've built the #1 private community for B2B marketers at Exit 5, and you can go and check that out. Instead of leaving a rating or review, go check it out right now on our website, exit5.com. Our mission at Exit 5 is to help you grow your career in B2B marketing, and there's no better place to do that than with us at Exit 5. There's nearly 5,000 members now in our community. People are in there posting every day, asking questions about things like marketing planning, ideas, inspiration, asking questions and getting feedback from your peers, building your own network of marketers who are doing the same thing you are so you can have a peer group. Or maybe just venting about your boss when you need to get in there and get something off your chest. It's 100% free to join for 7 days, so you can go and check it out risk-free. And then there's a small annual fee to pay if you want to become a member for the year. Go check it out, learn more, exit5.com, and I will see you over there in the community. Hey, by the way, we're doing a new event at Exit 5 on the heels of our very wildly successful and super fun drive. We're doing an event designed for marketing leaders. It's called the Exit 5 Marketing Leadership Retreat. It's a 2-day in-person working session for CMOs and VPs in Arizona in March. Not a conference, not a marathon of content. It's a room of 100, only 100 marketing execs from companies like Zoom, Snowflake, ManyChat, Bitly, G2, HP, and more. You'll spend 2 days pressure testing real decisions with your peers who are doing the same job you are, what to hire next, what to cut, what's actually working, what's not. Small, intimate, exactly what you have needed in a marketing event designed for leaders and CMOs and VPs like you and me. It's on March 18th through 20th, 2026 at Mountain Shadows Resort in Scottsdale, Arizona. We have 100 spots and they're filling up fast. I think as of recording this, we had 42 tickets sold. So if you're a CMO or VP of marketing and you want to think better, move faster, and lead with more clarity this year, this event is made for you. We do awesome events. I'm super excited to have this one out there. You should go check it out. Exit5.com/retreat. That's exit5.com/retreat.